I don't really believe I'm an expert in anything, so my job really, all I can do is give you the reference from what our experience has been. And so, what is our experience? We have built this big marketplace. So right now, firstly, how many people have used 99 Designs here? Okay, awesome. Great penetration in Vancouver. So we can thank our founder for that, Matt Mitrovic. Does anyone know Matt in the room? Yeah, so Matt's a local Vancouver guy. He was the co-founder of 99 Designs and another business called SitePoint. He did it with another guy called Mark Harbottle, who was based out of Melbourne, but I digress. Let's just look at some of our stats to help you give a sense of our size. So right now there's a new design uploaded every 2 seconds, 24/7, 365 days a year. So there's lots of volume. We've paid out over $115 million to our designers, and so for us, that's a metric that is really important. We're really about trying to monetize the work of our community and help get money into their hands. So for us, that's the one we look at. We obviously look at customers too. Right now there's nearly 3,000 jobs that people are working on. We're paying out over $3.5 million a month. And we've had over 350,000 customers. So that gives you a little bit of a feel for us. We've built this large community. So we've had over 1 million people register as creatives on our platform over the last 7 years. At any one time, there's about 10,000 of them or so online. In any one 60-day period, we have about 60,000 who are active. So you really see these folks come in and out. When they've got work that they need work, they're on our marketplace, they go away, they come back. You can also see that it's pretty distributed. That $115 million is being paid out to more than 195 countries around the world. You can get all sorts of stuff done on our site. Sorry for the plug, but it's late and I need to sell because that's my job. So, most of you probably came and got a logo on 99 Designs. We can do so much more. So there's lots of categories. Basically anything that a designer can do can be done on 99 Designs. We've had houses designed. We've had lots of products designed, car wraps, all sorts of stuff. There's lots of beautiful design that's been created on our site. We have this new Discover feature, which was /Discover on our site, which is where we're gamifying the design. So our designers are rating design for you so that you can more easily find great designers to work with. You can now just click on a design and work directly with a designer. So we started with this contest model, which most of you have experienced, and now we're doing more and more about just connecting you directly with people's style that you like. I wanted to celebrate Stace Hill. She's one of our many Canadian designers. She went to school in Ontario. She actually worked for 6 years as an art director in Toronto. She's now moved to the country. She's raising her kids, and she's a great designer on our platform. I just love her style. And us, we're now 120 people in 4 countries around the world. Melbourne's 50 folks. The Bay Area's 50. We have about 12 in Berlin, and then it's a rest of kind of a small distributed team in Rio and the Philippines. So that's enough of the plug. So, how did we get there? I think that's what you're looking for, is like some of the lessons that we've learned. So I think before we start too far, I just want to talk a little bit about how we started, because it's a bit of an unusual story. So I mentioned it. So Matt started a business in 1999 called SitePoint with Mark. I talked about that. SitePoint was an information site. They had lots of, they basically monetized through ads in iteration 1 of that business model, and they had these 2 active forums. One was a designer forum, and another one was a developer forum. And so in the designer forum, they were playing a game for fun called Photoshop Tennis. And so literally what that was designers putting fictional briefs up and then submitting designs to those fictional briefs and then rating them amongst themselves. And basically it was a game to improve skills, be social and community, and think about different ways to solve problems. And much to our luck, one day one of those designers has said to the community, hey, I need to do a logo for a website client. I don't like doing logos. You guys seem to like doing them for fun. So why don't you submit your ideas to me? If I pick one of you, I'll pay you. And so really, our business model was this very organic behavior that was happening naturally in this forum. And really what we've set out to do is just continue to fuel that. So for the first 3 years or so of our life, we bootstrapped. So, we're a little Aussie company, and so the similarities to being in Vancouver are small population. We all, have some holdings to the Queen, and you guys have something over us in that you're, what is it, a 2-hour flight from 330 million people and the world's largest economy, or second largest economy. But Australia, we're this very remote place. And so I think like you though, we start thinking about what are the opportunities outside our borders from day one, right? It's kind of part of the unique DNA of being an Australian entrepreneur, and I think it's probably the same as being a Canadian entrepreneur. I mean, there's plenty of businesses that you can do and execute successfully in your home market, but typically you've got an eye for that, probably that market next door, and you may be already starting to think about other markets outside, So we bootstrapped for 3 years, and so, we learned some lessons about gaining traction through that period, and I think, what I wanted to do was just share some of those with you. So the first part for us was we built this community before we had a product. And so that was a little bit of luck. But that SciPoint community was all about, at first it was about fueling ideas for articles. It was also a way of fueling ideas for book titles, because SciPoint was a publisher. Then it became this place for us to engage with our influencers, engage with our community, and really learn about what did they need from us. Was there really a product here? Was there really a market opportunity here? And so we engaged with them early, and I think that was one of our real keys to success. We focused on product. So, I joined in September of 2009. At that time, we were 8 people. 6 of them were engineers, and 2 of them were in customer support. So it was really just a very lean organization with an absolute sheer focus on building the best product we could. One of our important success factors was actually having a product that could scale. We had funded competitors. One of our competitors, out of the US of course, learned about what we were doing in our forum thread and actually ripped off our idea, told the world that they had invented it, and raised, $3 or $4 million. And so here we were, we had a cashed up competitor who was already in this, an important market for us in the US. And, much to our luck, I think, and great planning, we were able to really scale. And so we're an alpha customer of AWS, right? And so that was a really important decision that we made. That was one of the key things that, was Matt's idea, is like, hey, there's this service out here. I think we should give it a go. And that was super, super important. And it actually plays into my next point. It doesn't play into the next point because it's the next point over. But what I was going to say is, like, for example, taking that decision to use AWS gave us access to Werner Vogels, because he was actually talking to us about our experience as an early customer of AWS. And then he was using us as a case study. He's the CTO of Amazon, if everyone not familiar with who he is. And so he would then go and talk around the world about AWS and what he was doing at Amazon, and we were one of his case studies. And so we can actually link early customer acquisition growth to Werner speaking at conferences. The other thing that we did was build trust. And so there's a couple of key things here. And one of them is a little, not that intuitive, but when you think about it, it makes a ton of sense. So the 100% money back guarantee, our average transaction size, back then it was about $300. Today it's more like $500. So that's a significant amount to be putting on your credit card to a site that you know nothing about. And so the guarantee was one way, as a small Australian company with not much of a support team, that we could build trust, right? And we paid out on that guarantee regularly. The second thing we did was actually started to invest in customer support. So my first job at 99 was to move to San Francisco, and we started a support team in a co-working space there. And that gave us the ability to then provide time zone-based services. And the first thing we did was put a phone number up, and immediately the phone started to ring, and it was really just customers validating that we were real. So they'd be ringing up and saying, oh, good, you're real, and then hang up, and then transact. or talk to us a little bit and say, that's a funny accent, and I'd be like, yeah, sorry about, and I'd get the obligatory Crocodile Dundee comment, or, a shrimp, or whatever that comment, but it really was about, we quickly learned how important trust was, and we actually saw our conversion rate go up with the phone number, right? And so it was all part of this trust building thing. The other benefit of the 100% money back guarantee is it really makes you focus on delivering a good outcome for your customers. Designers hate refunds, and so every time it refunded, we'd have to deal with backlash from them. When a customer refunds, they've given you money and you have to give it back to them, that's a pretty painful experience, right? So it actually made us really, really customer focused. Because there we had this real-time metric. Of course we measure NPS and other stuff, but money counts, and it kept us very, very focused. And I think it's helped us today still keep a focus on, are we doing things right? How is the health of our marketplace and our community? I talked about this a little bit with Werner. Our initial customers were the early adopters of Silicon Valley, and that was a real boon for us. What did that do? These are the people who spread the word, right? It also meant that, we're a tiny little Australian company based in Melbourne, and we're getting lots of inbound interest from VCs because we were helping their portfolio companies get design work done, and they would be talking about this innovative process in which they got it, and so that really helped us. These are the people. I think we're in Tim Ferriss's The 4-Hour Workweek, so we still see links today, and we still see referrals from that book, and that was published in 2009. And then we invested in PR. And so our first hire in the US, before I even moved here, was a guy out of our PR agency. Marketplaces in particular, I think are very, PR is a very important lever that shouldn't be underestimated. We built Profile. Matt, our Vancouver-based founder, he started his first business at 13. When he created SitePoint, he was 17. So when he was working for us at 99 Designs, we could enter him in everything. 25 under 25, 30 under 30. We would literally roll him out for any award that we could possibly get because that helped build our profile. And he was a great public speaker. He would get out, talk at conferences, and really start to build that network. And we really treated it as just winning one customer at a time. And so they're kind of the lessons. I'm running out of time, and I've got to run to the airport. So I've spent a lot of time talking about that thing, so I'm going to really run through this quickly. So we talked a bit about this. We moved to the Valley in 2010. We raised a bunch of money in 2011, so that was part of the plan, I suppose. Get close to our customers, get close to partners, and then get close to money. And there's a lot of money there, right? And that certainly worked for us. What are our learnings about that? It's the world's most competitive place, but it's also where all the opportunity is. And so if you need to find money, it's a great place to go do it. I think, Vancouver's building such a great reputation today, and there's so much, exciting entrepreneurship that's going on here that the Valley's VCs are coming to you, and I think that's, we've seen that today. There's a bunch of them here. We don't get that so much in Australia, so for us to chase money, we really do have to typically move. They're starting to come to us more and more as we're having our own success down there. So, what are my lessons? Even if it's not the case, always treat it like an interview, right? Like if you interview someone for a job and they don't ask you any questions, I will never hire that person. And I think it's the same for when you're pitching to investors. And it's important to ask to check their references, ask them how they can help you. Make sure that you feel just as in control as they are. And that's really, really hard to do. And for us, it was a lot easier to do because a lot of them were pinging us and saying, hey, we want to give you money. And so for you, if you are raising and you don't have that, then it's obviously harder to pull off. But I think it's a very important aspect is that this is a two-way relationship that's super important. It's your dream, it's your livelihood, and you want to make sure that you find the right person to do it. And taking no money is better than taking money from the wrong person. You don't have to go to the Valley either. Obviously, there's plenty of great examples of folks building tremendous businesses from lots of places throughout Canada, and lots of places throughout the world. It's really just, money and access to markets. There's so much skill down there. There's these networks that we never dreamed of being able to access that our investors, Excel, have helped us get into. And I think so we've certainly benefited from it, but it's not without its cost. Okay, cool. We're getting into the pink zone. A couple of other stuff. So We've taken this real MVP approach to growing our business. We've been relatively conservative in the way that we've done it, and one of the great growth levers for us is to go international. So our marketplace was always international, but we only took money in US dollars, and we're only a .com, and we only provided support in those markets. And so over the last 3 years, we've really fueled our growth by internationalizing our marketplace in 7 languages around the world. Fun stuff. We acquired a little business in 2012 in Berlin, and why did we do that? It was a great opportunity to get access to a small, talented team. 4 people operating in 5 languages. They were the #1 provider in Germany, so we were a long way behind, not a long way, a fair way behind them, and we thought we could catch them. But this was a way to accelerate into that marketing. And so today, 3 years on, we're still growing at 100+% year over year in that market, and so it's been a great way for us to kickstart that. We also then were able to use their footprint and go into all the other European languages that we're in. We also tried replicating this in Brazil, where we bought, quote unquote, an acqui-hire, one guy and a small team, and he was probably number 3 or 4 in the market. And we probably haven't had the same success with that as we have in buying #1. So that's kind of an interesting lesson for us. Talked about this. We really got to move up. I think one of the keys about our approach is that we treat every new country like a startup. The country manager has to translate it, do customer support, execute marketing campaigns, engage with PR agencies. We've obviously got a much bigger home base now to support these folks, so they get lots of resources, but we really make them own it. And it's kind of like that minimum viable thing. Get it out there, see if it's going to be successful, see if the things that we're doing in that local market are making a difference, and if it is, then we continue to invest. We're trying something different again, so we're always testing. And so now we're going into Japan, and this time we partnered with a company called Recruit. We took a little bit of money from them because the only way they would partner with us is if we took their money. They are a $12 billion revenue business. They're all about the future of work. We think they're the right partner for us. They're going to help us build trust. Right now, they've got 6 people on their dime helping us set up our operations down there. So I think it's, I'm pretty excited about that, but it's a completely different way to tackle it. Thank you.